Yeah, so today we're gonna talk about the angle relationships. That's the topic, angle relationship. So what do we mean by relationship in general? So relationship in general is, let's say, when you can associate two things together. So when I say associate two things together, it means that it could be, let's say, two angles which are next to each other. It could be a line wherein you have the intersecting line creating the angles. There'll be several scenarios. So the first scenario that we're going to talk about is adjacent angle. So the word here is catchy. When I say adjacent angles, I'm talking about two angles which are next to each other in any ways. So let's say the basic one is this one, wherein you are seeing that there is a angle A, D, and C, and there's another line DB. So there is angle ADB as well as angle BDC. So now these two angles here, this one and this one, they are right next to each other. These two angles, they're right next to each other. So when I say angle 1 and angle 2, so these two are adjacent. This is a very simple example. It is almost like a right angle, you can say, and then you have two, it's just bifurcating, and then you have angle 1 and angle 2 which are adjacent. This is a very basic example. Another example that we can have little complex is this one, in that if you see carefully, so you have, let's say, these three lines are doing in three different directions. Okay, then you can say that, okay, this angle 1 right from here to here, angle 1, and then you have angle 2 right from here to here, they are adjacent. But to make it more complex, what about this angle? I'm calling it as angle 3. Is this also adjacent? Yes, angle 1 is adjacent to angle 3. These two are adjacent to each other. Then angle 1 and angle 2, they are also adjacent to each other. Angle 2 and 3, they are also adjacent to each other. Okay, because they are next to each other. So this concept is called as adjacent angles. Now the other concept that we have got is this one. If you see it carefully here, we've been through the concept of adjacent angles. Now another concept that we have is called linear pair. What do I mean by linear pair? The linear pair, if you remember earlier, we spoke about the rays, the opposite rays. So you see that the way it's going, this line is going that direction, and exactly opposite this line is going. So if it goes exactly opposite, there has to be an opposite ray. And then when you make up a line here, then this line, the angles that are formed in this line, they are adjacent angle. So in the mathematical term, we call it as a linear pair. The linear pair is when you have the opposite rays and there is an adjacent angle, angle 1 and 2. This is called linear pair. But now tell me one thing. Let's say these lines are exactly opposite. Now what about this situation? You hear it here? Let's say this line is going, BA is going on the left side to infinity. And then BC, if you see that this is not exactly opposite, going down. This is going down. And if you have the adjacent angle, are they the linear pair? No, they are not the linear pair. This has to be an opposite ray like this one, then only it can be the linear pair. So this is an example where it is not the linear pair. Okay. Now let's talk about the other concept. The other concept that we have is vertical angles. So what do I mean by vertical angles? The third concept that we're gonna speak about is the vertical angles. So what is that? The vertical angles? The vertical angle concept is pretty simple. Let's say you have, I'm not trying to make it more complex here, but let's try to see. So simple. Let's say you have a line like this, right? And then you have another straight line cutting it through. Okay. So then the angles which are formed here, so this angle 1 and angle 2, angle 3 and angle 4. So these pairs like angle 1 and angle 2 as well as angle 3 and angle 4, these two pairs are called vertical angles. They are called the vertical angles. Now there could be a situation wherein this line is not cutting straight. For example, you in the science you might have learned about, let's say, the refraction. So the ray going in there, let's say this ray goes in there, it's entering through air, and then it goes little tilted. So this is not pretty straight, but we still have the angles here, like these two angles and these two. So are they the vertical angle? No, it always has to be a straight line cutting through. And then this line AB, just want to reiterate, this line AB could also like this. The other line could also go like this. You see it here? But the condition is that both of these lines has to be straight. They cannot be like this. Okay, so this is called the angle which I found are called vertical angles. Yeah. And the last concept that we're gonna speak about, I'm just going to erase this. The last concept that we're gonna speak about is it's an easy one. It's the concept of complementary angle as well as the supplementary angle. So what do we mean by complementary angle and the supplementary angle? So the complementary angle is nothing but, let's say you have seen this. So that's your, this angle is exactly 90 degree, right? Now you draw a line here. Let's say you draw here. It's pretty, this goes like this goes like this. So let's say this angle 1, angle 2. Angle 1 maybe let's say 75 degree, angle 2 maybe let's say 15 degree. So the sum of these two should be 90 degree. When the sum of the two bifurcations or the sum of the two divisions is 90 degree, then this is called complementary. Complementary angles, they are complementing each other. They can either be straight away 45 degree, or they can be like 65 25, something like that. Now there is the last concept is this one. This is called supplementary angle. Now supplementary, the easiest is, let's say you have a line here, it just supplement. So this both are 90 degree each. Let's say 90 degree each, angle 1 and angle 2. Or you can have something like, you're gonna have something like, let's say this one, wherein this one is, let's say 120 degree and this one is 60 degree, let's say this one. So this is your angle 1 and this is your angle 2. The idea is that the sum of these two, the sum of these two should be 180. Then it is called supplementary angles. Okay, have fun.